My name is Ayodiji Ameze, and I'm here to teach the theme, the organism at work, on the topic tissues and supporting systems. All living things have one form of support or another. Imagine we have to stay without the skeleton with us. Wow, that would be nice, because we can't actually stand upright. We'll probably be like this, just a pile of flesh. He can stand upright simply because within him is a skeleton. Tissues. Tissues are a group of similar cells that perform specific functions. Systems, on the other hand, are a group of organs that perform specific functions. What are supporting systems? Supporting systems are systems in living things that help them stand upright. In most animals, the skeleton is the form of support, while in plants, the turgid parenchyma, the sclerenchyma, the xylem, and the collenchyma are the forms of support. The skeleton is any firm structure that provides support to the organism and protects the soft parts of that organism. The earthworm, the snail, and the cat hair all have a form of support or another. There are three types of skeleton. Number one, the hydrostatic skeleton, the endoskeleton, and the exoskeleton. The hydrostatic skeleton is that support with water. It is found in soft-bodied animals, while the endoskeleton is the support inside the body. It is found within internal skeleton, while the exoskeleton is the support outside the body. Usually it's a hard covering found outside the body. Hydrostatic skeleton is formed by watery fluid found within a particular space, like we see our earthworm. We have earthworms all around, especially when it's rainy. If you come outside and take a look on the ground, we'll see some slimy pinkish things finding their way through. That most likely will be an earthworm. It's soft-bodied, but we see that it still has a form because it has that support, which is the hydrostatic support given by the hydrostatic skeleton. Another example of this type of an organism that has this kind of skeleton is the hydra. The exoskeleton, on the other hand, is the skeleton found outside the body of that organism. Our crayfish hair. How many of us have eaten crayfish? It's very nutritious. It usually comes with a hard covering outside it. If you eat it without properly cooking it, yes, it's still healthy to do that. You find that it's a little hard. That's because it has an exoskeleton. The exoskeleton is not strong, but it is firm and a little hard. Other examples of animals or organisms that have exoskeleton include the ants and all insects generally. The endoskeleton is that skeleton found within that organism. Like the horse hair, we can see through that the skeleton is what gives this horse the support it needs and makes it stand upright. Organisms that you find endoskeleton include man, horses, dogs, cats, etc. Some materials are found in skeletons and they include the chitin, cartilage, bones. What are chitins? Chitins are tough but flexible materials made of carbohydrates that are found most times in insects and animals or organisms generally that have exoskeleton. The cartilages are firm but flexible structures that give support to the body. The bones, on the other hand, are whitish structures that are hard that give support to the body. These are all materials found in the skeleton. In humans, the skeleton is divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton comprises the skull, the vertebral column behind, the rib cage, and the sternum bone. The appendicular skeleton comprises the limbs and the limb girdles. As indicated by the pink coloration, the appendicular skeleton we can see from our diagram here, while the axial skeleton is indicated by the blue. Vertebral column. These are a series of small bones that gives structural support to organisms, man to be precise. They are found at the back. When you bend over a little, if someone takes a look at it, or probably you ask someone to bend over and you take a look at his back, his bare back actually, you will see some tiny things that form a chain-like thing. That's most likely going to be a vertebral column. It gives support to that organism. Man, for example. This vertebral column is divided into regions. The cervical vertebrae, this indicates the cervical vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae, the lumbar vertebrae, the sacrum, and the coccygeal vertebrae. All of these make up the vertebral column. Remember, the vertebral column is part of the axial skeleton. Some functions of the skeleton: it gives protection to delicate, when I say delicate, very tender things that you should be careful about, delicate organs found within man or within an organism. The rib cage here from our picture we see is covering the liver to protect it. The rib cage in man, you can actually feel it down here. Imagine a deadly blow given to the rib. Without the rib cage here, every other organ within that should actually be protected will either get damaged or won't have one issue or another. But with the presence of a structure like this, it shields it, it protects it, so the effect of that blow will not go directly to it. That's one of the functions of the skeleton. It protects delicate organs. It also gives support, it aids movement, and gives shape to the organism. Imagine we stand without any form of structural support within us. Wow, how possible will it be to put on a cloth or a dress? How do we look at the mirror? Do we look beautiful when we stand upright? Yes, that's because we have the skeleton within us that gives us good shape. It also serves as a site for the storage of minerals. Example of some minerals that it stores is calcium. Another example is phosphorus, etc. The skeleton serves as a site for muscle to attach. For example, here, this muscle is attached to this bone. Without this bone present here, the muscle won't find a place to stay. Therefore, movement will be impossible. Lastly, one of the functions of the skeleton is for the production of red blood cells. Plants, on the other hand, remember we said the turgid parenchyma, the sclerenchyma, the collenchyma, and the xylem are the structural supports the plants have. The turgid parenchyma are made up of turgid cells that press against one another to give firm support to the plant. The collenchyma are living cells that give supplementary support to the plant. Supplementary, I mean, it just adds, it just helps out other supporting systems to give support to the plant. The sclerenchyma, on the other hand, is made up of dead cells, while the xylem, the main function is that it serves as a conducting tissue, but it also helps to give support to the plant. Some functions of the plant is the supporting tissues in plants include that it keeps the plant upright, yet gives flexibility to it. To explain further, from our diagram here, we see that this plant can stand upright because of the series of supporting structures that I have mentioned previously. Yet, when the strong wind comes, the plant doesn't break over easily because it is flexible. We can see that the wind blows against this. It's not breaking up, yet it's still standing. Maybe not upright, but it tilts a little. That's flexibility. That's what the supporting systems do in plants. But when these plants get older, the xylem, remember it is one of the supporting systems earlier mentioned, the xylem becomes older and becomes secondary xylem. When the xylem becomes the secondary xylem, it is no longer as flexible. The plant no longer is as flexible as it used to be. Therefore, with strong wind, the plant breaks instead of bending over. But generally, support tissues in plants helps the plant remain upright and yet flexible. In summary, the chitin, the cartilages, the bones are all materials found in the skeletons of animals. The skeleton can be divided into the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Some functions of skeletons include: it aids movement, it serves as a site for the storage of minerals, it also serves as a site for the production of red blood cells, it gives shape, it protects, it supports, etc. The turgid parenchyma, the collenchyma, the xylem, and the sclerenchyma, they all function to give support to plants. We've come to the end of our class today. Thank you.